Hey guys, it's Ian here with HobbiesofaMan. Once again, and today we're going to be doing another comic book review. We're going to be looking at Conan the Barbarian, issue number 9, which is great. I'm very happy about this issue. This is by Jim Sub. Rob Del Torre is back for the artwork here. Dean White is the colorist again, and Richard Starkins is the letterer. And overall, this was phenomenal. I'm very happy Rob Del Torre is back. I don't hate Doug Braithwaite's artwork. I just don't like it as much, especially because I think the coloring makes it worse than the art actually is, right? If it was in black and white, I would love Doug Braithwaite's art, I think. But I think that the colors that they used for that specific story was not great. I hope that when he comes back in a few issues, he has a different colorist, or the color palette is that is used is different, because I just personally didn't like it, right? But the art style was still nice. It was just the coloring that was probably the biggest issue. And we're back to Rob Del Torre. We're back to Dean White. They're doing a great job with the colors here. They're doing a great job with the images. Everything about this arc is phenomenal so far. Like, the first issue is exciting and interesting. There's a lot of cool stuff happening, and there's a lot of great images, a lot of wonderful stuff to look at, right? And a lot of cool moments that are really exciting to me as someone that started his Robert E. Howard journey by reading some of the Cole stories, right? So overall, very good stuff, right? So we get introduced to this part of the story by having this Robert E. Howard styled introduction to Brule, right? The same way that we have this moment at the beginning of Conan always, where you talk about this Sumerian who has brooding and vibes and stuff like that. Like, the same idea, same kind of vibe is used to introduce Brule, right? And if you guys don't know who this is, Brule is a Pict. Basically like a European Native American type character. Well, I mean, that's kind of not correct, right? But like a Native European type character based on Celts, I think. And Brule specifically is one that was friends with King Cole, the Exile of Atlantis, which is a character that was basically the inspiration for Conan that Robert E. Howard also wrote, right? So Robert E. Howard wrote Cole stories, and then eventually wrote other stories, and then eventually managed to take all of these other stories and all the experiences he got, combine them and create this very singular character, which is Conan the Barbarian, right? And also Conan's first story is actually a retelling or a reuse of an old Cole story, right? And if you guys have the Robert E. Howard collection, the Del Rey editions, you'll kind of get to know this stuff because it's mentioned quite often in the forewords for those books, right? So, yeah, if you watch Michael K. Vaughan, he also does videos about this type of stuff, and he mentions Robert E. Howard a lot because he loves Conan. So, yeah, but Brule is introduced this way, and he uses a spear to break the Blackstone, which kind of we saw at the end of the first arc, right? And from this Blackstone, after lightning strikes it, the stone breaks, right? And of course, out of it comes Conan, which is very exciting and quite different from what I was, kind of expecting here. I didn't think that this is how they would interact, but of course this makes sense because at the end of the last arc, Conan was killed in some way. Not necessarily properly died, but he was definitely kind of like in limbo. It was unsure whether he was properly dead or not. And it seems like he's not. He was just transposed back in time through this Blackstone to bring him over to Brule and Cole, which is pretty interesting, right? And Conan turns out to be kind of half dead here because, of course, that's how he was back in his own time during the last arc. And the Picts capture him, right? And they're about to kill him. But Brule decides to question him before they decide to murder him. And he basically decides that, based on the way you talk and the things that you're saying, you're clearly not one of these people that believes in this Blackstone stuff. You're clearly not a member of these beliefs. And so I can't kill you, but I'm not your friend. So I'll just drag you with me, right? And so it is what it is. Eventually, kind of the day changes. They're at a camp. It's late at night. Conan is tied to a tree. And then suddenly a mountain lion attacks, right? And this lion, it's kind of a cougar. Although I'm not really sure that there's cougars in Africa, right? In Europe. Because, like, the way that Robert E. Howard's world works is that it was an era before modern history, right? And so, or general history that we can trace back, right? And so it still happens on the Eurasian and African continents. Just it just looks a little bit different, right? And so I'm not sure that mountain lions existed back then, although it's not really relevant. You can call it a cave lion, you can call it whatever you want. Either way, it turns out that there's this like big, big cat animal, which is something that is pretty common. Conan fights lions and tigers, and Cole does as well quite often, so it makes sense. They also fight monkeys a lot, which is kind of crazy, like gorillas and stuff. And so this mountain lion attacks Conan because he's easy prey. But of course, Conan manages to not get killed, and he uses its claws the way that it's kind of trying to stab him with its claws in order to get it to cut the rope that's holding him to the tree. And then, well, he fights the lion with his bare hands, and it's really awesome. There's almost like this Tarzan imagery here, of course, because Tarzan also hunts lions quite often. Like the first time that Tarzan is in society, the way that he kind of announces himself is by bringing in a dead lion that he killed by himself, right? And so this is really interesting and really enjoyable. And this whole scene was awesome. It was phenomenal. It was so cool. And as he's fighting this lion and this animal, Brol is looking at him, right? He's like, he's dealing with it. We're going to stay away. We're going to see what happens. And Brol sees this like mystical image behind Conan, and it looks like a lion, right? And he's like, I've never seen that before, except for one time. And the one time that he had seen something like that was when he saw the visage of a tiger behind Cole, right? And so this is so cool. And again, it just calls back to the way Robert A. Howard writes about his characters, right? For Cole, he always kind of describes him as someone that has the predatoriness of a tiger, right? Especially, I think, in the first story in the Cole book, he kind of mentions this idea. And then for Conan, of course, he's always a lion, right? And so it's great. I really, really love this. I think it was really, really phenomenal. I really enjoyed how there was this almost like anime-esque kind of like symbolism attached to these characters that was really, really phenomenal. So yeah, eventually Conan manages to kill the lion in a really cool way, and he earns the respect of the Picts, and so they decide to take him to Valusia, where basically is like Atlantis-esque-ish kind of place, and it looks amazing and it looks beautiful and it's quite cool. And Conan is quite easily distracted by hot ladies, and so he's taken away to mess with them, and then he actually doesn't end up getting to have fun with these women. He actually gets taken to Yog Kosha, who is, of course, the main creature from the Tower of the Elephant, and he is this Ganesha-looking dude, right? He's like a human, or he has a human shape, but he has a giant elephant head, and Conan is, so sussed out. He's like, what the fuck? I killed you, and we've met before, and what the fuck is going on? Or actually, I don't remember if he remembers if he killed him or not, because it might not be at the right time period, right? But Yakosha definitely knows, and he's like, oh, you again, interesting. And they talk a little bit, and kind of Conan is mystified by this. And it's a really interesting situation. Eventually, he gets taken over to Cole to talk to him. And Cole, of course, is brooding, because that's what Robert E. Howard characters do. He actually attacks Brule. And it turns out that Brule was not... or he attacks Brule because he thinks that Brule was not acting the right way. And he was a lizard man, right? Because this is kind of where the lizard men come from. And then Conan and Cole have an awesome battle, and it's like two versions of the same person fighting each other, and it's so awesome, and it looks great, and it's so phenomenal and exciting and blood pumping, and it's so fun. And as they're fighting, Conan and Cole are testing each other, right? And at this point, Cole is king, so he's kind of further down in his life than Conan is, and so he's trying to tell Conan, you're too young, you're too impetuous, you're not doing the right things, and you're allowing yourself to be open, right? And so he's trying to teach Conan before he dies. And then Conan actually is kind of a little bit more wily than you would think. And so he manages to kind of guide Cole in the right place so that Brule can attack him. He can knock him out. And of course, this is exactly when people that have no clue what the fuck's going on walk in, see him knock out the king, and of course decide to imprison them. And that's kind of where the chapter ends. And overall, this was an awesome, awesome issue. It was phenomenal. I loved it. I thought it was so great. I really, really had a fun time with this. I'm so happy Rob Del Torre is back. I love his artwork. If it was up to me, I would love to have him do every Conan issue, but of course this is not really possible because he needs a break, right? So I definitely understand why they do the switching thing, and I think it makes sense. But at the same time, I feel like there maybe could have been more cohesion in the sense that, one person should be in charge of drawing this story until the whole story, right? The overall, larger piece has ended, right? But it is what it is. I understand how it's kind of happening. And overall, I still like it. I mean, I do like Doug. I think he does a good job. It's just not my favorite compared to Rob, right? And especially because Rob is so powerful. There's so much emotion that Rob's art kind of brings to me that I just don't get from Doug's, right? And so that's just kind of what happens. But overall, amazing stuff. If you were kind of iffy on this, I recommend you read it. It's awesome. It's great. It's phenomenal. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Conan number 9. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you thought down below, and thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys later.